Hi, Book Dragons, and welcome back to the Emerald Dragon Lady. I am going to share with you this time how I got started ARC reading and what the first step for you to take to become an ARC reader. Essentially, to get like the really short version, go see my intro video. But essentially, 5 years ago, it was the start of COVID, and I was 7-8 months pregnant with my now 4-year-old and 4.5-year-old, and I was told to officially stay home and only leave for doctor appointments. And I had no idea what to do with myself. I was, like I said, I was 7-8 months pregnant, had a clean house, always had dinner ready and everything, and things were going good, and I was getting things prepped and ready to go for when baby was going to be here to try and make my life easier. But in the off times, I was bored out of my mind. I had no idea what to do. So, I got started back into reading, and I realized what a tiny selection of books I had, and I wanted to know how I could be able to get more books without having to break the bank. And so I knew one of my good friends did ARC reading, and he always had books. He was always listening to books. It's kind of a joke in his family, which has now become a joke in my family. Oh hey, I wonder what do you think mom's listening to as she leaves from the house to go run her errands? So they're like, it's a book. It's not music. It's not anything else. It's a book. So it's kind of a joke now. But I reached out to him and said, hey, how would you recommend I get started with wanting to ARC read? What would you recommend I do to try and get my foot in the door, sort of thing? And his response back was and this is going to be your first step, is that if you have a Goodreads or an Amazon or an Audible or anywhere you have books that you have read, you're going to go onto those platforms and you're going to leave ratings and you're going to leave reviews. For ratings, you're going to need to come up with your own kind of system. And in the beginning, it's a little rough. I have a series on my Instagram now that I call Flashback Fridays, and I post reviews from before my time on Instagram, and I laugh at my reviews now and I mean, if you can't laugh at yourself, you're not having fun. But my reviews in the beginning were very vague, sometimes 2 or 3 sentences, maybe even 1. And I'm sitting here going, wow, I don't know if that was a helpful review at all. So it's funny to watch yourself grow, but you get in a good groove, you get in a good habit, and you understand kind of what you want to say in your reviews. So, I would recommend coming up with a, rating system that you would like to do. Some people, you'll find on Bookstagram, do not like rating systems at all. And you know what? That's perfectly fine. That is their prerogative. That's for them. But for other platforms like Amazon and Audible, they want you to leave that star rating. Goodreads, you can or cannot leave a star rating. It's up to you, but it's better if you do. So I would have a star rating as kind of like your kind of fallback. If you don't like to do ratings, then have some kind of implemented system that you can fall back on to be able to leave that kind of ratings and unbiased reviews on those platforms. For instance, for myself, I have a 5-star rating, a 4-star rating, and a 3-star rating. And that's it for me. And I'm going to explain here. My 5-star reads, if I leave a 5-star review, I absolutely love the book. The writing was phenomenal. The character development was unspeakable. It was just that good. I loved it, and I just fell in love with the book. I resonated it. It was very relatable, And the main difference between a 5 and a 4-star book for me is I will absolutely read it again. I will choose to read it again. And that is saying something big for me because I am a huge mood reader, very big mood reader. Even though I read a ton of ARCs from authors, I'm a huge mood reader. And as long as I know when I need the reviews done by, I can read what I want, and as long as I get it done sometime then, I usually find that I end up reading it because I'm finally in the mood for it, sort of thing. So that's the distinguishing factor for me, is if I will read it again of my own choice. Because if I will read it again, then it is a 5-star read for me. 4-star reviews for me. It was an excellent story. Had good writing, couldn't complain about it. Maybe just a speck here of like predictable, but you know, it was one of those, I didn't see the predictability until it was like the last second. And I love the books and everything. I would always recommend this book just like I would my 5-star reads, but because I'm a huge mood reader, I may or may not read it again. And that's nothing against the book. It's nothing against the author. That's just me and my mood. That is what works for me, because I don't have time to always keep rereading the books I already own. I own 6, I've read 400 books at least minimum in the last 5 years. Not including what I've read this year so far. And I have 500 more just waiting on my TBR or my to be read pile. So I've got quite a few books. But because of that, I don't always have the time to reread the books. So it may be an excellent book. It may be good and great. And the author's writing style I loved it, but I may not read it again. If I do read it again, it may be because a sequel, if it was part of a series, if a sequel comes out, I might reread it to refresh it in my mind because I will have read so many books in between. And so that's the main difference between my 4 and 5-star reads, is if I will read it again of my own choice. So my 3-star reads, 3 stars is the lowest I ever rate a book. And this is just my personal opinion, my prerogative. It's my choice. If it's a 3-star book, it was a good book. It was kind of predictable. It wasn't that I didn't enjoy it. It was a good book. I don't know how else to say. It was just a good book. I will often try to find things when I leave my review. If I'm not quite sure what to put in my review, I will find things that I did like, or things that I'm like, if you like this, and this, then this is the book for you. Because, you know, sometimes if it's a 3-star book, maybe it just wasn't quite the book for me, but that doesn't mean it won't be a good book for you. So not every book is for every reader. And I live by that phrase. Not every book is for every reader, because I may like some books that you don't like, and vice versa. So 3 stars is the lowest rating I ever give. And even if I do a 3-star rating, I will not tag the author in the review unless the author somehow magically finds it. I've had that happen at least once. I was like, oh, okay. But I was able to give some feedback on it. And there was just like 1 or 2 things in that book that just rubbed me wrong. And that was just me. There was nothing wrong with the book. It was just me. So, but because I didn't quite vibe with it, I gave it 3 stars. And, you know, I keep thinking back, I'm like, you know, maybe I would give it 4 stars. And then I'm like, no, I really won't read it again. But, you know, So anyways, if I DNF a book or do not finish a book, which my philosophy is life is too short. And with 500 books on my TBR pile, I don't need to waste time on a book that I'm not enjoying. If I am not enjoying a book, if I will give it a chance. I will at least read probably either the first 50 pages, 50 to 100 pages, or the first few chapters. And if I'm just not feeling it, I won't read it. So I think the actually longest I made it was 1/3 through a book. And I just couldn't do it anymore. Like, I was trying to give it the benefit of the doubt and everything. And then 1/3 of the way through, I was like, nope, we're done. I can't do this anymore. So, but when I do not finish a book or I DNF, if it was an ARC read, I will contact the author and say, hey, I'm sorry, I can't finish this book. I'm just not vibing with it. I'm not enjoying it. I'm going to delete it from my files, so I will no longer have it, and you will not be getting a review from me, just so you know. This way, the author doesn't think that I stole a book or got a book and didn't leave a review, sort of thing, because unfortunately, there are some people that will get the free book and then not leave a review at all, and I don't live by that philosophy. I try to review as many books as I can. So that's what I do if I DNF a book. I rarely do that. Ironically, I did DNF a book in January and one in February. And those were not ARC reads, so I didn't have to worry about contacting authors and things like that. So, but so have a rating system in place that will help you get started, because what you're going to do is you're going to go to Goodreads, and I suggest Goodreads first, because Goodreads or Storygraph or Fable, I tend to use Goodreads more because Storygraph and Fable aren't quite as caught up as far as the availability of books in their system as Goodreads is. And so I use Goodreads, and I literally it used to be a shelf. Now Goodreads calls them tags. It's weird. I don't know why. But go to Goodreads and create your account, and you automatically get your shelf of want to read and currently reading and read. And you're going to create another tag, and I just call it ARCS, ARCS, Advanced Reader Copy. This is the tag that I use to find the book on Goodreads, and I save it under that tag. That way I know I need to read it. I know I need to leave a review and everything. So what you're going to do is you're going to find the books that you have read already. You're going to go on Goodreads. You're going to leave a star rating, and you're going to write an unbiased review. An unbiased review is something, basically, you're not bashing the author. You're not bashing the book. You're not going out of your way to be rude. You try to find a neutral way to say things. And when you leave an unbiased review like that, authors are more willing to give you a chance, as opposed to if you left a review where you said, yeah, this author's writing is crap. Yeah, it was totally predictable. I didn't want to read it. I didn't like it. It's a crappy book. If you leave a review like that, authors are less likely to trust you to read their books, because they don't know what kind of review you're going to leave. So when you leave an unbiased review, they're more willing to give you a chance if you state things neutrally. And Amazon will absolutely flag you for this. If you do that in a review, things like that, most of the time they'll send you a flag saying, hey, this review is not going to be published because of blah, blah, blah. And usually they'll give you a chance to go back in and fix it. But the reason why I say start on Goodreads is because with Goodreads, you can actually go in, and when you go to edit, when you're done with your review, you can copy the whole review, and then you can go to Amazon. And if it's an audiobook, you can go to Audible or wherever you have that book on audio. I do Audible. So, and then you can just copy and paste them right into their templates and everything to submit the reviews. And it's the easiest way to be able to get your review everywhere and have it saved in a spot where you can easily find it. Because, and I'll get into another tip when I talk about Canva, because Canva is one of the apps that I use to help me get some of my stuff on my social media platforms. So when I get to that video, you'll hear more about that. But Goodreads, start on Goodreads. Rate and review. Write a physical review for each book you have read, each book you own, sort of thing. And then share and post those reviews on Amazon and Audible. And that will be at least 3 places where you have started for your reviews. That is the first step to becoming or getting your foot in the door for becoming an ARC reader or a digital copy reader or an advanced listener copy reader. So go to Goodreads, copy and paste to Amazon, copy and paste to Audible. The next thing I'm going to say that will help you, that I did not start until a year and a half ago, is going to be make yourself a spreadsheet. An Excel spreadsheet doesn't need to be anything fancy. You just need to be able to have a place. I have my spreadsheet at the bottom. I have where I got the book from, whether it was a publishing company, and I have a tab that literally just says authors, because I have found that there are two different types of ARC readers for the most part. The first type is the type where they get most of their ARCs from like a site, like NetGalley, Story Origin, BookFunnel, things like that. They get all of their ARC reads from that, and they do that, and they post their things and they do that. There is another kind of ARC reader, and this is where I fall in. I get at least 75% of all of my ARCs from the author directly. And it's because they have found my social media platforms and they said, hey, we looked at your platform, we loved, and we think that our book would be right up your alley if you want to give it a try, sort of thing. And then I just ask them a couple of questions about their book, and if it's right up my alley, then yeah, I'm on board. So there's two different types, ones that get them all from sites and ones that kind of get them mainly from the author themselves. So I still get some from sites, but most of mine come from the author themselves. So this is going to be my journey in how I get them this way. But you can choose which way you want to do them. And that's the joy of being an ARC reader, is that you get to choose what books you want to ARC read. Now, when you go to apply for the books to ARC read, you still have to wait for the author approval, which is why your unbiased reviews on Goodreads, Amazon, and Audible are key, because this gives the authors something to look at. This gives them something that they can base their judgment on to know if they think that you might be a good reader for them. So that's why it's a two-way step process, but it's so much fun because you get to pick the books you want to read. And if you don't get a book that you wanted to read, it's not the end of the world. There will be plenty of other books. Trust me, I will show you. There's a whole treasure trove of books waiting for ARC readers. So that is my first step on how to become an ARC reader. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments. I will answer them as best as I can, either by commenting back or in the next video. So please let me know if you want to get started. Do you have any other questions? Don't worry, there'll be more videos detailing more steps.